Man, I'm so happy we got to go.
I'm excited for Los Angeles to have a restaurant like this.
Beautifully plated, beautiful plate.
Under promise, over deliver.
And the shrimp is just melt in your mouth.
I didn't think a Swede had it in him.
One glass, $100.
Yes. Yeah, it's like eating a symphony.
I think it could be chewier.
It's my emotional support butter.
Bread, cheese, and a glass of wine. Oh man.
This was definitely the star of the night.
They are untouched by any other berry in this city.
No matter what happened the rest of the night, I was going to leave happy because I had had it.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Aftertaste LA. I'm Nicole.
And I'm Vlad. We're a chef-writer duo eating our way through Los Angeles. All our opinions are candid and our own, and we never exchange reviews for free meals.
And this week, we'll be discussing our visit to the newly Michelin awarded Lielle. So Lielle, I have been seeing pictures of this place from even before it opened. They just opened officially in February of 2026, so just a couple months ago. And man, I'm so happy we got to go.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited to talk about this meal. I'm excited for Los Angeles to have a restaurant like this.
So Chef Marcus Jernmark, he already has 4 Michelin stars total in his past, including a 3 Michelin at a restaurant where he was the executive chef in Sweden.
The restaurant you're referring to with the 3 stars is Frantzén in Sweden. At its heyday, when he was there, it got as high as number 6 in the world on the 50 best list. LA has not seen a chef with this caliber of accolades, I don't think. Not since we've been here. Another thing, super impressive, he's also a certified somm.
Yes.
A lot of the wines on this list were picked by him and a team and beverage director that he worked with, but he knows ball. He knows his wine, and he knows how to pair it with his food. Huge advantage. So just off of that alone, super excited to try. And then you look at the menu and it's only $150 versus $500. And now I'm really curious.
Before we had the meal, I didn't understand how they were doing that. Now that we've had the meal, I understand it even less. I don't know how they can deliver at this level on that price point.
Yeah. You know, for 4 courses for $150, that sounds kind of high, but it's not really 4 courses. You get some snacks, you get some breads, little extras here and there, which is a very fine dining thing to do. Under promise, over deliver. And they have done that.
So the first thing you notice when you open up the wine list, first of all, there's no cocktails.
No cocktails. They do have spirits. They're not a beer and wine only place.
When you look at the wines by the glass, actually all of them are California wines. And I would say at least 50% of them are under $20. They have higher price point ones as well. But if you are looking to kind of save your pennies, every single wine on this list has been vetted by Marcus. It is going to be a good wine.
Yeah, and they have a large cellar. They have 300 plus bottles. So if you want to come here and nerd out on wine, this is a great place to do that.
Yeah.
But there's something for everyone. There's something that makes it more affordable of an experience where you can have a glass of wine for $16 with your $150 four-course menu and walk out of there under $200 for the meal that we just had. There's not really a whole lot of places you can do that.
Yeah. And for me, I wasn't even choosing really by price point. I just went by the wines that I know that I like and enjoy and I thought would go well with the meal. And both of mine ended up being under $20, which I could not believe. I was shocked.
Yeah. And there's no pairings here. There's no wine pairing. They have suggested things for each course, but there isn't like a traditional wine pairing option that's going to add to the bill.
Yeah.
Which I kind of like. It's not every fine dining place has like a wine pairing, and sometimes there's tiers, and it can be overwhelming sometimes, and it can be too much wine sometimes. You get like lit. I don't know if I want to drink 5 glasses of wine with my dinner. So,
my actual wines. I had a 2025 Vermentino from Paso Robles. $19. This was fun because I talked to the somm on the floor and I was between 2, this and a Chenin Blanc. And he was like, do you want to just try both of them. I think the Vermentino is probably going to be what you want, but do you want to try? I was like, sure, I'll try. And then we both agreed, like, oh, maybe we should blind taste test them. I'll see which one
Sure.
we really like
Well,
better.
he was steering you towards the Vermentino. He seemed really excited about it, but he didn't want to influence your choice.
Right. So when he brought it, he was like, do you want to do it blind? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. In the end, I liked the Vermentino best. You liked the Vermentino best. And he was like so pumped for us to have this wine. He's like, this is new. Like, it goes so well with the first 2 courses. Really did.
Yeah, he felt very validated.
Yeah. And then my second glass was a 2021 Grenache Noir from Santa Barbara County. And this one, just looking for something to kind of go with the duck at the kind of end of the meal. Our server was literally just had this in her hand as she was walking by, and she was like, do you want to try this one? And I tried it. Perfect pairing. You can't really go wrong with choosing any one wine on this list to go with your meal. You're going to be happy basically no matter what.
Yeah, fully agreed. They do have some spirits. They're more for after dinner with dessert versus during dinner, but if you want some chartreuse throughout the meal, go for it. So I didn't have wine, actually. I had Saison beer because I was listening to a podcast. Marcus was on it. He was talking about the Saison that he partnered with a brewery in coastal California to make for the restaurant. And this brewery is really special. They do a lot of Belgian style brewing, and they age a lot of their beer in wine barrels. So this Saison drank like a wine. It was tangy. It had a lot of spruce and lime in it. So it was so delicious. And it was $45, but you got a 500 milliliter bottle. So that was good for me for like 3 courses. It was like 2.5 glasses of beer. I really enjoyed it, and normally I would go with wine with this meal, but he talked so highly about this beer, and you can't get this anywhere else. This Saison was brewed for this restaurant. Why wouldn't you order it? All right, well, let's talk about dinner. So, like I said before, it's $150 for 4 courses, but it's not just 4 courses. So before you even order wine, the first thing that hits the table is round wooden plate with a radish that is covered in a garlic yuzu butter emulsion, a sun gold tomato with some sea buckthorn sauce and a little flour. All of it's dusted with really nice nori powder to give it that salinity and freshness of the sea, and it was delicious.
These are super cute, and also garlic, yuzu, tomato, just nice, fresh, springy flavors.
If you've never had radishes and butter, that is like the most classic French thing on the planet. It is so simple, but so delicious. And that yuzu garlic butter sauce was delicious. I kept using the bread that we got to kind of soak up the butter just because I wanted to leave no speck of it on my plate.
So, along with this came the bread, which was served nice and warm, just warm enough to be steaming when you pulled the pieces apart. And this bread is a special kind of wheat, Rouge de Bordeaux, which is kind of nutty and like a little bit dark, kind of a whole wheat bread. Get the sourdough in there, and then it's also served with a Jersey cow butter. And this butter was delicious. It does go through a 48-hour in-house culture, so it has a little bit of cheesiness to it, but just a titch, and it goes very, very nicely with the very nutty, kind of almost molassesy loaf. I felt like it kind of had those kind of flavors in there.
Yeah, this was a perfect loaf of sourdough bread, perfect for 2 people. I really appreciate how much salt was on this butter. It was incredible. They kept trying to take the butter away from the table once we were done with the bread, and then we were like, no. You leave this butter here. I may need it later. It's my emotional support butter.
Yeah.
These 2 items, the first things you have, they're not listed on the 4-course menu. So really they are the first course. So already you're ahead.
Yes.
And they are telling me one thing as a diner. They have gone through great lengths to choose the best ingredients possible to put in front of you, and it's how they're making their first impression. And it is a testament to what they do really well.
And we love a bread course.
That too, yeah, this is fantastic bread.
And it tells you so much about what's to come. As soon as they cleared all this stuff, we were like, oh my gosh, I'm even more excited after that.
Yeah. So before we go into the actual beginning of the meal, there were some decisions to make. They have a few supplements and specials. So the first course, you can have the first course, and then there's a caviar supplement if you want to swap. And a lot of fine dining restaurants make the whole table decide. They're super cool. They're like, you can split it 1-on-1. So one person can have the supplement. This way we can kind of try everything, which of course we did. And then they have 3 specials. They have 2 pastas and a cheese course. So we got one of the pastas and we got the cheese course. So our meal was more expensive than $150 per person, but that is our sacrifice for you guys. So we can't wait to talk about that.
Life is hard.
Life is hard. So since we got both of the first courses, do you want to talk about the tuna?
So this was a dry aged bluefin tuna, and it came with peas, miyoga, and gooseberry shoyu. So you have the lovely dry aged tuna, which is rich, but also has such a deep umami from that dry aging process. It pulls all that moisture out. So you're really left with this just like overwhelmingly fresh and meaty flavor from the tuna. That's really, really special that you can only get through the dry aging process.
Yeah, and they're using the lean and the toro, so you're getting a little bit of both, which is a really great thing. You're getting the whole animal.
Yeah. So then it also comes with peas and some young ginger in there, as well as pickled gooseberries. They're a nice little hit of tartness, a little bit of basil, and then you have the shoyu, and then maybe some of the fat from the tuna to kind of round out all those flavors. This was so well balanced. You had everything in there, a little bit of texture from the peas, a little bit of texture from the gooseberries, just so lovely. And the other thing I want to hit on for this particular dish, the plate that it was served in was so perfect. It looked like, the bubbles that a fish makes when it's swimming around in the ocean. And then it had a little bit of a dark black detail on it that really reminded me of like seaweed. So it's like you're seeing seaweed through the ocean, and it's just lovely. And it was beautiful, beautifully plated, beautiful plate. It's so deceptively complex because when you take a bite, you're hit by the hero flavors first, and then you realize that there are all these flavors underneath that, which are actually just bolstering the heroes, which I think is so fascinating. I think that's why it felt like a gift that kept being unwrapped, like another layer and another layer and another layer, because you started to taste those other flavors that were underneath, but they're all working together.
Yeah, it's like eating a symphony.
Yeah.
And then you get to take out the drum section or the wind section and like start to piece together why it all comes together so well.
Yeah, well said.
The other first course option that you have is an N25 caviar course with a chawanmushi, aged pork broth, and French sorrel.
Can you explain for us what N25 caviar is?
N25 is a German caviar brand that's known for their meticulous standards. They only accept about 10% of the caviar harvested that's offered to them. And the caviar that we had on our plate was a Kaluga caviar, and it's known for its kind of nuttiness and creaminess compared to other caviars. The salinity level was a little bit lower than normal, so it complemented the egg and the pork broth really, really well. It was great caviar, and the overall experience of this dish was decadence. The chawanmushi was perfectly set, creamy and delicious egg flavor. The aged pork broth, which I believe they said was a 100-day aged pork, it was so full of umami and savoriness and complemented the caviar and the egg really, really well. And then you get these bits of sorrel, which are tart, that cut all the richness. It was such a perfect dish. It's $45 to add this to your meal. If you've never had caviar, it's like adding luxury if you want it. But what I took away from it was the tuna course was so good that unless you want caviar and you want to have a more luxurious experience, it's not necessary.
Eggs and caviar are kind of a classic combination, especially with fine dining. So if you've never had a combination like that and you've never had it in this kind of environment, maybe splash out for it. It is a lovely eating experience, but I do agree I preferred the tuna. So when we sat down and we looked at the menu, Vlad turned to me and said, "Man, this is a menu that was made for you." And it really, really was. And this next dish we're going to talk about is one of the main reasons why. This dish was a koji rice dish with lobster, artichoke bergoule, and beurre noisette. Now, when I tell you I love artichokes, you don't fully understand.
And lobster.
And lobster. Artichokes, I buy them anytime I see them at the farmer's market. I always have a backup can of canned artichokes in the pantry. I love artichokes. I eat them probably more than anyone else I know. So this was like, this is made for me. So the koji rice, the star of the show, very umami forward, very rich and salty, which is perfect to have the lobster and artichoke in there as the other two heroes of this dish. Now, the artichoke is interesting because it's actually prepared in 3 different ways for this dish. There is pickled, there is fried, and there is grilled. So not only are you getting 3 different textures from one ingredient, you're also getting 3 different flavors from it that are all working together in this dish. Then you have the lobster on top of it, and this lobster is cooked so perfectly. It's so tender. It's so buttery. Like, people talk about buttery lobster, but like, this one was the most.
It was really, really good. Lobster itself, they charred, I believe, over Binchotan charcoal. So there was a really, really amazing smokiness that was super subtle in this dish, as well as the artichoke hearts, which are charred over those coals. And it really is this subtle backdrop the entire time you're eating it. This was definitely the star of the night. I thought once I had this dish, no matter what happened the rest of the night, I was going to leave happy because I had it. It was delicious. The lobster itself was cooked perfectly. Barigol, I wanted to educate the audience a little bit on what that is because it was used in the sauce. And barigol is a process of cooking artichokes that is super classic French, where artichokes are poached in a court bouillon, which is a broth with a lot of herbs and aromatics and white wine, and it gives it this really, really nice tartness. And the flavor combined with the artichoke leaves itself, really, really incredible. It's kind of like taking artichokes to the max. And that acidity was so necessary because you have the creaminess of the rice, you have the richness from the butter, you have the sweetness from the lobster, and it all just sung so well together. It was a really, really great second course.
I think this encapsulates the whole meal for me. Every single dish was so balanced. This dish had the umami, had saltiness, had the tartness, had the richness, but everything at a perfect level. No one flavor, texture, anything was taking over.
Yeah, it was a perfect dish. So before we had our third course, we got our first special, which was the spaghetti all'assassina, which came with red prawns and uni. Now, this pasta, I had seen it in several reviews from their opening reviews, and everyone said to order it, and they were right. It was so incredible. First, the noodles are made in-house with some of their sourdough starter, and alla assassina is a super regional Italian method for cooking pasta in a pan without any water. So they don't boil the pasta, they burn it in a pan and they ladle in sauce, and the pasta cooks. You're almost cooking pasta like the way you would cook a risotto. So the texture of the pasta itself was really, really incredible. And then the charred pits add their own sense of flavor. And then you have raw red prawns on top and Santa Barbara uni. And the combination of the sauce that they chose, which was extremely tart, sun gold tomato sauce, it was almost too tart, but then you got bites of shrimp that were incredibly sweet, and it was the perfect marriage. This was such an amazing pasta dish. I didn't think a Swede had it in him. I'm so impressed.
Yeah, the decision to have raw shrimp alongside this kind of burnt pasta was so smart. It's like having the best of both worlds because you have that kind of roasty flavor from the pasta, and the shrimp is just melt in your mouth. It's so tender.
Mm-hmm.
So you almost get a cooked flavor without having to cook the actual meat.
Yeah, and then the Santa Barbara uni, which Santa Barbara uni is known for its sweetness and its subtleness. It's not like crazy briny, and it just has such a clean ocean-like flavor to it that added to it. This was like a seafood pasta on steroids. And there was this foam on top that a lot of people are kind of turned off by the foam, but this was very, very like buttery and full of uni and delicious. It did not take away from it at all. And then there were like 3 or 4 different kinds of basil in there that were delicious.
Yeah.
This was such a good dish. It is expensive. It's $58 to add this onto your meal. But man, I would come here and just order this. They won't let you, but they should.
Yeah, just going back to the foam, I liked it for plating reasons. Flavor-wise, kind of just went with the whole thing, but visually, it looks as if you've just plucked these shrimp out of the ocean and the ocean foam is still on them.
Yeah, that's a really great take. I like that. I didn't even think about that at the time, but that's a really great take.
Yeah, it seems really fresh to your brain.
Yeah, and then the plate they bring it on is almost kind of this like half crab shell looking thing. It was a really, really beautiful plate of pasta. The moment it hits your table, you're like, oh, this is serious. You're so excited. And I was deeply upset when it was over.
Yeah, the other thing I really enjoyed about this dish is the way that, the like uni juice kind of combines with the sauce.
Yeah.
And is almost macerated into it.
Yeah.
So it's like really cohesive. This was like our other dish that was in the running for number 1, but the koji rice just edged it out.
Not to say that anything else was bad. It's hard. How do you pick, right? It's like choosing your favorite child. Okay, so the main course, the third course, was the Liberty Farm duck. And there are so many elements on this plate that even the service staff was kind of forgetting what some of it was.
We should also mention that they changed the menu quite often, and this menu had only been in place for about a week.
Yeah, every 5 weeks they're changing the menu. So, go with what the seasons are.
Yeah, it's not really an excuse, but it is an explanation.
Yeah. The duck dish is a Liberty Farm duck with breadso, chewy beet, and wing jus. There was a lot on this plate for a duck dish. So the first thing, obviously, is a breast of Liberty Farm duck that was aged 21 days. Then there is a leek that is charred and stuffed with the liver of the duck. There's some shiso puree, a lonely bean, the heart of the duck, which was cured and grilled, some endive with a kind of kosho that they make in-house, the breadso, which was a miso that they make with their leftover bread, the wing jus, some nasturtium, warm cherries, really, really lightly cooked. There was a lot on this plate, a real like painter's palette. But when it comes to the table, this is like one of those plates that if you've ever watched the show Chef's Table, this is what it looks like when the music is playing and they're plating all the elements of it. There's so much going on. So let's talk about it one by one, because it's a choose your own adventure type of dish.
Yeah.
The duck itself, really, really perfectly cooked, aged 21 days, so the skin was really nice and crisp when they grilled it over charcoals, and then it was tender, perfectly medium rare, perfect piece of duck.
Yeah, the duck breast itself was really lovely and perfect. It was so tender, cooked just the right amount. The fat was nicely rendered with the crispiness on the outside, but very, very thin. Just lovely, lovely to eat.
My favorite thing on this plate was actually the heart. I thought the heart was so delicious. If you've never had poultry heart, chicken heart, duck heart, it is so delicious. And if you're squeamish about it, don't be. It is really, really neutral in its flavor, but its texture is really, really awesome.
Cherries, classic, pairing with duck.
Mm-hmm.
That was, of course, very nice. Not too much to say there. I really enjoyed the endive.
Yes,
with
that
the
was really
kosho.
good. And it was really tart, and it really kind of reset the palate, because I ate it halfway through and it reset me. That kosher was so good.
Especially when you have so many different flavors on that plate, you need something like that because, it's almost too much stimulation. And then you have the bread which is lovely, very salty, very umami.
And I like that they give it to you, it's not on the duck itself, so you can kind of choose how much of it you want. That was really cool. The thing that surprised me the most was the leek with the duck liver.
Oh, yeah.
It was so good, and the liver itself was so flavorful. Duck liver is very, very fatty compared to chicken liver, so it was just unctuous, and the sweetness of the leek, it just paired really, really well.
Yeah, I loved it. And I have a love-hate relationship with liver in general. This was incredible.
The shiso puree was really nice, just exactly what it sounds like. Just pureed shiso. No salt, no nothing, just herb flavor. And it was nice. I was kind of spreading it on the duck as I was eating it to add to the experience. The jus was really, really nice, full of gelatin from the wings, which are packed with gelatin. It was really, really kind of classic French. Really shows the range. This plate had Japanese techniques, Nordic techniques, French techniques, California. It was a perfect marriage and showed all of the different influences that the chef team has. And I thought it was really impressive. We also forgot to talk about the beet.
Oh, the beet. We got to talk about the beet. So this one was nice. It was a little chewy. I think it could be chewier, personally. I think I would like chewier. However,
Yeah.
it was a very good beet.
Look, the lengths that they are going to make this beet, this texture, is more than I would ever put effort towards, because it's like a 3-day process of drying this beet and cooking this beet and making it this texture. It is impressive, and it requires a lot of love. At the end of the day, it's still a beet. Okay, so to wrap up the duck, I do have one note, additional note about this dish, and it's about temperature.
Okay.
Compared to everything else we had thus far, like the rice dish and the pasta and the chawanmushi, the temperature was perfect. Perfect. The duck dish, it was a little room tempy.
Yeah, it was a really pretty plate. I do think perhaps a little bit overcomplicated, which would go into your point as well.
I think you could have put 3 less things on here and it still would have been really, really good. Give me the heart and the liver with the leek and the cherries and the duck breast itself and the jus, and then put some shiso leaves or something, and all those flavors will still be there. I think this was a little bit too fussy.
So next, we had our other supplement, which was the selection of artisanal cheeses for $48, which comes with honeycomb, Danish rye bread, and this also includes the 30-month aged Comté, which is also available as an alternative to the dessert on the menu. It comes out for the two of us, there are 4 pieces of cheese for each person, so 8 total. And alongside it is this really lovely, seedy, dark bread, Danish rye bread. And it was absolutely delicious. I love a bread like this that has a lot of texture to it. And I think it's a perfect accompaniment to the cheese and to the honey because those are kind of almost smooth textures, especially the softer cheeses. And it holds up well, so you can really like get the cheese on there, get the honey on there, and take a very nice bite.
Yeah, the bread itself was fantastic. We actually got a second round of it because we ate our first round. It was delicious, fried in butter.
Yeah.
So good,
So just a
warm.
little bit crispy, but not too much.
Yeah, the cheeses, every cheese on this plate was, you can tell when you bit each cheese, they chose these cheeses because they're so delicious and are the best of the best. Like, you are not getting any kind of throwaway cheeses here that are on every cheese plate you've ever seen. You likely have not tried any of these cheeses.
And they were so well thought through as a group. They each kind of did something different well.
Yeah, the Comté specifically was my favorite. It was so salty and packed with flavor and had these like crystally, like crispy elements to it, and they put some olive oil on there. It was delicious. With the honeycomb too, it was just lights out. I love a dessert course cheese. It's a very French thing to do, but I highly recommend it.
Yeah, the last one, the goat cheese, is the one that I loved. That's pretty classic for me. It was definitely the most tart of the cheeses, and I just love that combo with the very nice sweet honey. Delicious.
I think this is another one of those supplements where, like the egg chawanmushi, it's not necessary, but if you want to feel a little bit more full and reset your palate before having the dessert, getting this cheese course is a really nice way to do that. And if you have a little bit of leftover wine and you don't really want to get another wine, but you want some cheese, this is how you finish your wine.
Yeah, bread, cheese, and a glass of wine. Oh man.
Yeah, I mean, is there a better way to end a savory meal?
No.
With every meal comes dessert, right?
Yes. So the dessert featured another one of my favorite things, which is Harry's berries, Harry's strawberries, which I go to the farmer's market specifically to get almost every single week. And we usually have them in our fridge because they are untouched by any other berry in this city.
They are so, so good. If you have not gone to the farmer's market and gotten a thing of Harry's berries, do yourself a favor and do it. It is going to be expensive. It's like $13 or $14 for a thing of strawberries.
More now.
Was it 16?
16 now.
Look, it's worth it. It's worth it. They do not taste like any of the strawberries in the supermarket, I can tell you that.
Yeah, my thinking is if I don't get these berries, I'm going to eat less fruit. Like, it's not like I'm going to get the other berries instead and eat those. I'm not, because they don't taste good. So I'm going to do it for the vitamin C and for the dopamine hit of delicious, delicious berries. Yes, it's the strawberries, but alongside that is iced elderflower, sake lees ice cream, and lemon verbena. So real quick, do you want to explain a little about sake lees ice cream, what that is, how it's made?
Sake lees is just the byproduct of the sake making process, and they're folding that into their ice cream, which was super luscious and delicious.
Yeah, I really liked this ice cream. I felt like it was a great, almost blank canvas for the rest of the dessert, but not quite. So you could think of this dessert kind of like strawberries and cream, but so much more at the same time. The ice cream has a great texture to it. It's very luscious. And then you have a little bit of that umami kind of flavor, yeasty umami flavor underneath it, which serves as the foundation for everything else. The lemon verbena is a meringue, so it's very tart and it has a nice crunchy texture. Then you have the strawberries, which have been sweetened a little bit, and then on top of that, you have this iced elderflower snow that just sits on top in this nice white little flakiness. Oh my goodness. I loved this. I have no notes. I loved the textures. I loved the flavors. It was sweet, but it wasn't overwhelming at all. And you have stuff like the sake lees flavor as well as the tartness of the lemon verbena to kind of temper that and make sure you're not getting punched in the face with sweetness.
The elderflower, snow, granita, however they made it, was super delicious. I did get a little bit of a brain freeze from my first few bites because I ate it too quickly because it was so good. I really loved the lemon verbena. The flavor of it, the aroma was super nice. Nothing in this plate really outshined any of the other elements. It all was really, really well balanced. But to me, the strawberries were still the main star, and they were delicious, and they're in the perfect season right now. I can't wait to see what kind of dessert they do in the summertime, because if they're doing this with the strawberries, I want to see what they're doing with peaches and stone fruit and all that.
I also want to shout out the lemon verbena flavor here. I think that making it into a meringue is really, really clever.
And it works really well with the elderflower, and strawberries work with elderflower. That's the Nordic touch.
Yeah. And sure. I love elderflower. It has such a nice, light, delicate flavor.
Yeah, floral. And then there's a bonus. You don't even realize this. So, first of all, a restaurant that has 2 bread courses. And they're both complimentary because they're not written on the menu. Incredible. So you get a second bread course. It is a cardamom rum punch brioche type of thing. It's basically like bruisey brioche meets rum, baba au rum.
Yeah.
Right. So it is a really, really soft and pillowy brioche that's been soaked with a ton of rum and then sprinkled with black cardamom on top, and they give you these scissors to cut the bread with so you don't get your hands too dirty. Man, this was so good. Like you didn't need it. It comes with the strawberries, so you can kind of like go back and forth, hot, cold, hot, cold. We only ate one each. We saved the rest for the next day because we were full. Great idea.
And even better the next day.
Yeah, now that once the rum like fully saturated and just was like a part of, what a great breakfast.
Oh yeah. I mean, booze and sugar and, enriched dough.
Yeah.
Give me more. The black cardamom, I'm not sure I've had it, or maybe I didn't realize that I had it. Of course, like green, much more common, I think, and it was great. So
this dessert is inspired by apparently an extremely classic Swedish cardamom bread that is used. Black cardamom is used, and it's made proper when there's actual pieces of black cardamom sprinkled on top. So this is probably an ode to Marcus's childhood. I bet he grew up like his mom or grandma made this bread.
Yeah. And the cardamom could have been overwhelming, but I think that's where the rum comes in really nicely to kind of balance that out.
I've found the cardamom, so like you see it on top, it almost looks like cracked black pepper, and that's kind of how it's used here, like subtle, but adding to, and all peppery and spicy in its own way.
Definitely.
So that was the last course that we had. We also had 2 additional things, both of which were complimentary. First of which is not on the menu. It is called Magic Water. You got to be in the know to order it, and I highly suggest that you order it at the end of your meal. It is essentially soda water with a few drops of a really, really special chartreuse, this chartreuse végétale, which is extremely concentrated chartreuse that is just the perfect digestif. And I didn't know when we ordered it that we would get an entire pitcher of it. They really bring you a pitcher of this stuff. It's mostly soda water. It's not boozy in any way. And they sell the like chartreuse if you want to take a bottle of it home. Those monks, man. This like a 300-year-old recipe, and no one else knows how to make it, and it's highly guarded. And if you're able to find chartreuse, it's really hard to find lately.
This was the perfect digestif. I kind of want to have it at home because I definitely eat too much of my own cooking sometimes and I need something.
It's modeled under the same idea as soda waters and bitters, which is a really great way to kind of relax your stomach and cleanse your palate, especially if you're feeling full. Also, if you order the magic water, they're going to know that you're in the know and they're going to have a little bit more respect for you. And that's never a bad thing.
So very last but not least, with your check, they bring you a little bowl of yuzu sugar. And on top of that are 2 little gummies. Ours were green apple and chamomile. These were so nice, a nice little last goodbye to close out the meal, close out the flavors. They were not too gummy and they were not too sweet. Just gummy enough, just sweet enough. A really nice little amusement for your mouth as you sign your check.
This is in the fine dining in the French world known as a mignardise, if I'm not pronouncing that right. Too bad. But it's kind of the final goodbye. And these are pate and fruit is the technical term for these little gummies. It's just like fruit jelly.
Yeah.
But it's kind of akin to the after dinner mint. Same idea, just here's your check and here's 2 final goodbyes, a final gesture, and that's always a nice thing. You just always feel like you're getting free stuff, and then sending you off with a free thing when you're getting the bill is always a good thing.
Yeah, that's smart of them.
Yeah, because look, it's $150 a person after tax and tip and wine and supplements. It's still an expensive meal. But if you look at the other meals we've had in this price range, this is the cheapest one. If you go to eat at Cato or Providence, you're not walking out of there if you have wine and supplements for under $1,000.
Yeah.
Here you're walking out at $600.
What a steal.
Look. Is it an expensive thing? Yes. This is not something you're going to have every week. This is the cheapest fine dining tasting menu of this caliber in this city.
It definitely feels a lot better to be sending that check for $600 versus $1,200.
Because we've eaten at Cato twice and it's been over $1,000 both times.
Yeah.
Okay, so that wraps up everything that we had at Lielle. Let's talk about the ambiance and the service.
I love the ambiance here. I love how they've chosen to present the space. So we were sitting in a booth. It's all booths. Our booth and all of the 2 tops have you sitting on the same side. I love this on so many levels. Number 1, though, if you don't have someone sitting on the outside, they don't have to be brushed past by every server and busser and person going to the bathroom. I hate that about most places. And it's just, it's just how it is. Obviously, practicality, you kind of have to have that unless you have a setup like this. And they're going for that luxe, relaxed, but also high quality experience specifically. So they can do that. They can take away those seats that might have been in the middle, and they're at a price point where they can do that. They're at a service level where they can do that.
Yeah, look, it's only 42 seats. It's mostly 2s and 4s. There's no 6-person tables. There's no large groups here.
Yeah.
Everyone's on a date. As a gentleman who rarely gets to sit in the booth, if there's a booth seat, it was really nice to be able to sit in the booth with you. And we did notice throughout the meal how close the couples were to each other. And like throughout the meal, like the more you have, like the closer you get, the more wine you have. People are snuggling and have their arms around each other. And it was just a really, really fun way to have a romantic dinner. It felt romantic in there.
Yeah, and it just encourages closeness. Everyone looked so happy in there. And comfy and close and just all the like positive feelings.
Yeah, the booths themselves, super comfortable seating. The decor was really, really great. Color schemes were great. It was a gorgeous restaurant. And it was really fun to see how they transformed this dining room from what it looked like at Bicyclette. You know, it was a bistro before. At Soto, it was an Italian restaurant. So now that it's this fine dining space, it kind of works really, really well. Everything feels luxe. The linens are hand sewn. The cork ceiling to mitigate how loud it is in there because it's a very loud room.
Yeah, that was our main thing. Like when we went to Bicyclette, very, very loud in there. So it was interesting to see how they installed these kind of barreled ceilings made of cork.
It was still loud in there, but it was never to a point where we were like screaming at each other. Also, sitting next to each other, you're able to have a more intimate conversation without having to raise your voice.
Yeah, it really felt like our own little bubble there, too.
Yeah.
Like almost like it was private without being private.
I also have one or two other notes to add about the ambiance before we move on. The music. The music here was awesome. The playlist was awesome. You heard Mobb Deep and Chili Peppers and The Weeknd and just such an array of music that you would never hear in a fine dining Michelin-starred restaurant of this caliber, right? It felt fun. And that's what Angelinos want. We don't want stuffy. We don't want, really, really kind of white tablecloth type of meals. There's no tablecloths.
Yeah, it's interesting. It remains kind of casual feeling while also being upscale. Like, I mean, I think you can wear sneakers, like
the things that are upscale about this place are the ingredients they put on the plate, the glasses they chose for the wine itself, the linens, things that matter that you feel and experience as a guest. But like, guests don't care about white tablecloths, at least not here. I don't think anywhere, honestly. I think that is like a really old and antiquated thing. I think fine dining moving towards this direction of we don't want people to feel stuffy. We're going to play loud rock music and hip hop, but we're going to serve you like the best ingredients on the planet prepared by professionals that know what the hell they're doing. That's the direction that we're moving towards, and I am here for it.
My last thing on ambiance is lighting. They play with light here very deftly.
Yes, really, really good.
The actual restaurant as a whole is actually quite dim. However, they have these spotlights coming down from that cork ceiling that spotlights your table and makes it very easy to see the menu, to see the food, to take pictures because let's be real, it's Los Angeles. Everyone's taking a picture of their fish or whatever. It was lovely. And then you also have a real candle on your table, your own long taper candle, not one of those ones inside a glass.
Yeah, I loved
thing.
The candle.
Like just a raw candle out there.
That they changed a few times throughout the meal because it was burning out quickly. And yeah, it's a dying thing. And I think more restaurants should be having a live candle versus these like fake votives. I hate the fake. Don't give me a candle if you're going to give me a fake votive.
No. But I think just having live fire on your table, the quality of the light I think it hits something special inside humans. And it also kind of reminds us that this is what cooking is at its like very core. It's just fire.
And then let's talk about the service because it's a young restaurant. They've been open 4 months. I thought the service was pretty good. As far as everything we've talked about, I think it was the weakest out of the entire thing because the staff had a few missteps with like knowing what was on the menu.
Yeah, obviously that has to be said. They're all like really nice. Like they wanted to stand around and talk with us, it felt like.
Yeah, everything about the service here is very casual. None of it feels stuffy and it's just a really good team. Everyone's very, very happy. I thought that it was almost too relaxed for the type of food that they're serving, especially when we were asking questions about like, what was this element or that? People didn't always know. The menu did just change like a week before we ate there, so not everyone was up to speed, I guess. I don't know like what the goal of the restaurant is as far as awards, going for Michelin stars or not. It seems like they are. that's the kind of stuff that Michelin notices and will dock you a lot of points for.
Yeah.
I thought the actual like pacing of the meal was really, really great. I thought the way that they poured wine and cleared plates, everything was very subtle. Nothing felt obtrusive. The way that she explained the menu was very, very thorough, but there was some missteps. It wasn't flawless.
I will say our server, our main like person who was taking care of us, in charge of our service, I felt like she was a pro. Like the way she was interacting with us, I almost felt like it was sneakily a little like manipulative, complimenting us on things. But I think that's also part of service, is knowing how to deal with people, make them comfortable, make them feel good.
One thing I did notice was this was a real team effort with the service staff. Everyone on the floor was working together when they were bringing plates and helping clear or carry. It was not, this is my job. Everyone was kind of helping out, whether that was the som or the servers or the food runners. It was an all hands on deck, and everyone looked happy.
Yeah, definitely agree. Another thing that I noticed was that with our cheese course, they bring you 2 slices of bread, and they're pretty small. They're only like this big, which for those listening, maybe 4 by 2 inches, 3 by 2 maybe. So we ate them rather quickly because we love bread and we love cheese, and they were delicious. And we didn't have to ask. New bread just showed up almost immediately. So I thought that was pretty cool.
It's a nice extra touch of hospitality where, like, we don't even know if you necessarily want it, but in case you do, here's a couple more pieces.
Yeah.
And we did. Well, I did. I don't know about you.
No, I had to save room. I was getting so full at that point.
Yeah. I would say the service here, I would give it like a 7.5 out of 10.
Yeah.
It wasn't perfect. There was a few slip-ups, but nothing they can't correct, and nothing that really made our experience overly worse. It's just, we're going to be critical.
Yeah. I mean, they've been open 4 months. Things are going to start going a little bit smoother. It just, sometimes it takes time.
I agree. I think the main takeaway here is there was no judginess or stuffiness, and the staff really welcomed you into their home. And that is not always the case with a fine dining meal. It feels forced a lot of times and fake, and that didn't feel that way here. It felt very genuine.
Sometimes it almost feels like they don't even want you here.
Yeah.
Like, why are you here?
But I didn't feel that way at all during the course of this meal. And that was really, really great.
Yeah, it reminds me of something that you had actually told me that Chef Marcus said about reservations and walk-ins, and how he's like, I want this to be a place where you can walk in, even if it looks like there's nothing available, still come by. We'll find a place to put you. You know, we will make this work so that you can experience what we do here.
Yeah, which is such a departure from a lot of restaurants in LA that feel exclusive and feel like, oh, yeah, you're definitely not getting in tonight because we're fully committed. Even if they're fully booked and you walk in, they might find a place for you. And I think that's a really great thing. They said that they have built some nooks and crannies in this restaurant to kind of make you wait, get you some wine, make you feel comfortable if you need to wait for a table. And more restaurants in LA need to do that. It's a very New York mentality, and it's a very European mentality where it's very accepting of everyone coming in. And oftentimes we have ran into issues with that. And I think a lot of Angelinos are not thrilled with that level of service. And it's great that they're bringing that here. Another thing to note, so this dining room, there is an upstairs. This used to be Bicyclette and Mansky. Mansky is upstairs, and they have the whole building. So another restaurant is going to be opening up called Marais, and that is going to be kind of like a wine bar, French bistro type of an experience with Nordic California flavors similar to Lielle. And I believe part of the plan is, if you do have to wait for a table or if you want to eat at Lielle, they can bring you upstairs, get you some wine and a snack while you wait. And I can't wait for that to open. I think they're saying end of the summer for that. So before we get to our verdict, a little bit of a rundown of how our verdicts work. We rate restaurants on a scale of 1 to 4 taste buds. 1 is skip it. 2 is if you're in the neighborhood. 3 is worth a trek. And 4, you gotta go. And based on how this episode has gone, it's going to be no shock to anyone what our verdict is. We're giving Lielle 4 taste buds. You have to go. One of the best new openings in 2026 in Los Angeles. We're so excited for Los Angeles to get a place like this. I think it is a truly special restaurant opening.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's wonderful for people who seek out fine dining. I think it's wonderful for people who have never gone to fine dining. I think this can make every population happy, really. If you're willing and looking to spend $150, if you have that $150, I highly recommend it.
This is a restaurant that, as it evolves, people that are visiting California should put on their list to go. So, hope you guys go. Please let us know in the comments if you have been and what you thought, whether you agree or disagree. We can't wait to hear from you. And where should we go eat next? Let us know. Until next time, see you in 2 weeks.